The eyes have it. As any Aussie parent knows, the way to reach our kids is through their screens. But concerningly, extremist groups have figured it out as well, using games like Minecraft and Roblox, along with platforms like Steam, Twitch and Discord to target vulnerable young people.
The fact that the AFP is seeing extremists put extremist content into a gaming platform is concerning. We know that the way that extremists work is they try and befriend young people, they groom them, they recruit them.
For would-be recruiters, the attraction is twofold. Firstly, while major social media platforms continue to crack down on hate speech, games and gaming-related platforms remain relatively unregulated, making it much easier to spread violent, extreme material. In one disturbing instance, a young Australian engaged with an in-game recreation of the 2019 Christchurch terror attack, allegedly going on to share the content on social media.
So the bait is this sort of exciting content which is taken from actual attacks like the Christchurch attack. Terrible to think people would be drawn to that, but it is strangely compelling because it's so dark and so dramatic. But it's the friendships that are formed, the grooming that occurs after that.
And forming those friendships with vulnerable young people becomes that much easier thanks to the direct access that gaming can offer.
There are a lot of people who are in some ways a misfit to society. And so I think what online extremist groups do is sort of recognize that there's a particular group of people who are vulnerable in some way. And a big part of the radicalization process is to take that gamer's individual circumstance and start blaming it on an external factor.
So what can parents do to guard against this new threat?
We need to recognise that when somebody is spending time alone, apparently physically gaming, they're actually in a community of people. And if it's a good community, that's great, but it could be a place of vulnerability where somebody's trying to abuse them.
I'm very concerned about it. I make sure that screen time is very limited in our household.
They do control what kind of access they've got.
It's the Wild West, so it's a free-for-all. There's no way you can control what's on there, but you can control the way they use their social media and their devices.
It's terrifying. Obviously, I'm someone who has spent a lot of time playing video games. You can probably tell that by looking at me or listening to me speak. But I will say that when in high school, for example, a bit of an outcast, I found a community of people online who who were some of my best friends and are still some of my best friends to this day. They were very positive people who influenced me in a positive way. I am terrified about how that would have gone if it had gone the other way, because I was very impressionable, very young, and obviously you're doing it privately, away from your parents, in your room or whatever. And there's, if you don't have those support structures in the rest of society, you can easily fall down a bad path.
Do you have any sense of how this works in practice, though? Because I think the point was made there. Yeah. A parent might think their child is alone in a room with a device, but actually they're in a community of people.
Yes.
How does that take someone down potentially an extremist path?
Well, I can only talk from my perspective, my experience, but when you're young...
Which is non-extremist.
Yes. I'm not a right-wing extremist. I've tried, they wouldn't have me. No, but I can only talk from my experience. Obviously, people have tried to recruit me before, because obviously they can't tell that I'm not white, and they'll say something racist, and then they'll be like, hey, we're in this Discord channel, let's send me a link.
Really?
Of course, it happens all the time. And then like you're playing some video game with people, they post a link in the chat, and then next thing you know, you're just there to coordinate in the game, to chat to them, and next thing you know, they're saying something, nothing like, not trying to plan a terrorist attack, but they're saying stuff that's pretty full on, and you've got to excuse yourself,
I'm sure I'm not the only person that doesn't know what you mean by a Discord channel.
Sure.
What do they try and pull you into?
It's like a chat room, basically, but one, like sorry, I forget that you're 400 years old. It's a chat room, but also it's like voice chat. So similar to your phone you might use, Hamish.
In Minecraft, are they particularly violent games, or they're not?
No, so historically this kind of thing has happened in, I guess, more violent or more extreme games. Minecraft, Roblox, they're online Lego, you know what I mean? So that's why this is quite worrying, because these are games that parents often think it is safe for their kids to spend a lot of time on because they're just, building blocks and stuff,
But also isn't part of the problem that the language that's used, there's bombs, there's death, there's violence. So where police would normally go in and see these words being used in other arenas, that's the normal language that exists there. So it's very hard for the police to do that level of surveillance that they would in other spaces.
Of course, and if you're a 14-year-old kid, you also might not be able to realise the difference between someone talking about something in-game and then talking about something extreme in real life, and that line is blurred as well. So, you know, as always, it's important to have these conversations, to be proactive about this with kids, you know, and obviously be involved in what they're doing, you know.
But it is so hard for parents, though, too, in terms of, like, parents knowing exactly what's happening in a game.